This is the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 234. This is the G Podcast. Yes. We don't do it enough. Yes. And you know, it's Kamala Harris's gay, I guess, opportunity economy week. You know, we got to get right into it. We will talk about it, and I've got some clips. So this is going to be a clip-heavy show, but I think, you know, this is really an important speech for, and it was, and it is, and it will continue to be as we go through the debates and a lot of what's coming on, what's coming up. I'm Tommy B, y'all. Talib Hitman Howie in the building. Talib, what's up, man?
How's it going? Come on down.
Come on down, Hitman Howie.
What's
How
that?
you doing, man?
Hey, thanks for the invitation.
Hey, look at him using all his special effects and whatnot.
I don't know how that happens, right?
The next thing is we're going to see how he's going to turn into a cat.
That's what I'm saying. How are we using the Zoom effects on it? How you doing, Howie?
I'm great, man. Thanks. How you guys doing?
Oh, man, I'm good.
Good.
All right,
Hey, it was great
cool.
to see you all last week, man. And nice to meet Brother Shabazz.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't met him before in person.
Yeah, exactly. It was a good time, man. I appreciate
Another milestone for Vibe.
Right.
Well, you know,
That's right.
the milestone, 60. But I'm here to tell you, real well done, Vibe, man. Well deserved. And it was just great to see so many people come up and say good things about the brother. One thing Vi tells me, and I say, hey, man, you really doing it big? And he says, yeah, you know, the military took 30 years of my life. I'm trying to get up. And he's right. You know, he deserves, you know, brother, you know, there's an interesting story as to why he came on the podcast. He knows it. But I just want to mention that. We won't go into details, man, but really well-deserved Vi, man. And shout out to you, your fam, Bree, and her fam. All good. You know, each week we do news, politics, pop culture, the piping our tea from the one and only Tanya B. This week, Tanya B is on vacay in the DMV for her birthday, so there will be no tea, but we've got something at the end of the show, man. Good friends, our family, our Troy fam, classmates, Eureka and Rudy, man. So proud of them, man. They're taking a step in the entrepreneurial direction. You know all about that, Talib. Opening up retail.
Oh boy! I wish them the best of luck, and may God grant them patience.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
After dealing with retailers in sales for many years, and they're in Fort Valley, you know, which their shop is called Eureka's Place. As we tape, their soft opening is today. Now, you know, of course, people won't have an opportunity for that, but I'm going to have Rudy come on, and I'll play the clip at the end of the show. And y'all stick around, by the way, through the end of the show. And Rudy will give more details. But it's at 308 South Miller in Fort Valley, not far from Fort Valley State University. Congratulations to them, man. I got to give them their props. They were advised big shindig.
That's right.
So I gotta, you know, definitely the folks were there. So it was this week, y'all. Let me go ahead and play the clip.
Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris delivered her first policy address. The focus, the economy and food prices.
Many of the big food companies are seeing their highest profits in 2 decades. And while many grocery chains pass along these savings, others still aren't.
Harris says she wants to lower the cost of living. During her rally in North Carolina, she said she intends to cut needless bureaucracy and red tape, along with pursuing investigations of anti-competitive behavior in the food supply. She proposed a federal ban on price gouging for food and groceries.
And you know what? I kept saying to you guys, you know, I think this is important. And I'm going to play clips because I do think as she frames who she is, this is going to be it. This is going to define going into the election who she is. A lot of folks are saying, well, we don't really know who she is. We know that she was the vice president. We know she was in the Senate, you know, representing, you know, California and yada, yada. But I think a lot of people don't know who she is. But this is what people need to know, because these are the things, the economy is what we all deal with every day. and I'm not knocking, Brother Joe, because I think you have to give accolades to what Biden has done up to this point, because people are, the right is strongly attempting to twist the story, and blur the message, which I can see what he's done. I think people forget that we were in a pandemic.
Yes.
I think a lot of people say, well, we're out of it, we're done, we're moving forward. But the pandemic, man, was a scary place to be. Am I, Howard?
I agree. Yes, I agree. Yes.
Right or wrong? Because we didn't know where this was going.
Exactly. And the person who was in charge made it even worse. He didn't lead us.
Right.
During that time as well.
Yeah. No matter what side you're on, let's agree that bleach is not the answer. It was not, swallowing bleach was not the answer. Okay. Or taking the horse medicine was not the answer.
No.
And it was so, how do you say it, man? His messaging, and I'm talking about 45.
Right.
Took us through some scary places. And a lot of people were afraid. So I think the fact that they took the reins, got us out of it, we can't just have that, amnesia and forget where we've been, So I do think this is a critical speech, because she has to frame it as, we were here, now we're here, okay? One of the things she's going to mention is the fact that we're under 3% when it comes down to inflation for the first time. It's been a while. Mm-hmm. So things are starting to normalize for the most part, if that's the best way to say it. And I want to play clip number 1, because one of my big things about what she's doing is differentiation. Okay, it's a big word for me, and it's something I live by, because you know how it is to leave when you're in a competitive battle. Even when you do a rap battle, it's a constant differentiation. Well, that motherfucker is this, and I am. It's like you have to let people know who you are versus your competitor. So I want to play a clip where she jumps in about differentiation.
Our country has come a long way since President Biden and I took office. At that time, we sadly remember the millions of Americans that were out of work. We were facing one of the worst economic crises in modern history. And today, by virtually every measure, our economy is the strongest in the world.
Okay. So any feedback? I'll go to you, Howard, first on that clip.
Oh, yeah, I think the ability to differentiate from what we had before is very important, and also to differentiate what we're voting for in the future. And I think she's setting herself up to say the policies that under the Biden-Harris, now the Harris-Waltz administration, will benefit everybody and not simply benefit a small group of people that can get tax cuts. And I think it's important to understand under the Biden administration that policy is a lagging indicator. All the things he's put in place the first year or the second year, now we're seeing the fruit of those policies. And people in our community, in our world today, are so microwave, they want everything instantly, but policy don't work that way. And now the stock market took a dive a couple of weeks ago, and the only reason it took a dive a couple of weeks ago is because the Feds refused to change the interest rates. If they would have did the interest rates like they were supposed to, and we had this conversation, the market wouldn't have taken a dive. But however, now the market is kicked back up, and you can start to see inflation coming down. The housing market, where the interest on housings are coming down. The interest rates on your mortgage is coming down. We've seen an uptick in refis. Gas prices are below $3.50. I think last I saw the other day was $3.11. So yeah, the policies are working. It just takes a little time to get them involved.
Talib, any thoughts on that clip? Any differentiation, or if you agree, then no
yeah,
worries.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm cool so far.
Yeah, I
like what Howie said.
Because yin and the yang. I gotta the balance.
Okay, so here's the thing.
You're good.
Yeah,
you're good.
I'm good on where she's going, and I think I'll save further comment for some of the other clips.
Excellent. Okay. And, one of the reasons I'm doing this is because a lot of folks during the week don't pay attention, and you don't get the full speech. You run in, you grab sound bites, but I really think you need to understand, not just from a voting standpoint. We got issues, and we feel it every day. I don't know if you feel it, but I feel it. I mean, because I go I'm the one who shops. Okay. And I'm always asking, damn, why the bread? What?
What? Right.
Why is bottled water up? Like it's ridiculous. All right, y'all. Let's go to what Biden has done. We've already talked about some of it, but let's hear from her.
We have created 16 million new jobs. We've made historic investments in infrastructure, in chips manufacturing, in clean energy. And new numbers this week alone show that inflation is down under 3%.
Okay. I want to go ahead to the next clip, and I'll ask you about this. She's calling it the opportunity economy, and I think that is a good name, but I've got some feedback. Here we go.
Still, we know that many Americans don't yet feel that progress in their daily lives. Costs are still too high. And on a deeper level, for too many people, no matter how much they work, it feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. As president, I will be laser focused on creating opportunities for the middle class that advance their economic security, stability, and dignity. Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy.
All right, I want to go to you, Talib, because we talked about you being an entrepreneur, and you're still out there DJing and doing some other things. When you hear that, what do you think?
I'm thinking that we really need a common sense approach to some of these programs that these folks are going to start coming up with. Opportunity, the opportunity, even the word opportunity has been thrown around through quite a few administrations. Yep. Opportunity zones and, opportunity funding and, these things never really seem, they never really seem to pay off totally for the people that they really need to help.
Yeah,
so
I got you.
The trickle down on that is usually kind of negative. So when we start talking about these programs opportunity, like I said, we need a realistic approach to how these funds are going to be disseminated, because if you're saying it's an opportunity, but we get excluded from the opportunity for one reason or another, not necessarily at our own fault, but through decision-making process, through, whatever criteria may be, that's where we typically lose. If we look at Bill Clinton's, empowerment zone, it was basically every place that crack was heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So crack hit in the 80s, wiped out in the early 90s. Bill Clinton come around. Oh, these are the empowerment zones, and that's how Caucasians got back into the West End, into Oakland City, and all these other little spots around Atlanta. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So same thing when Trump did his opportunity thing. There was a little talk about it, but it really wasn't a whole lot. And again, the disadvantage to these funds were really supposed to be, being geared towards, did not profit in the right way, and we lost out. So, are we going to, I would rather see if these programs are going to be instituted, I'm thinking that there needs to be some kind of educational process to make sure that the right people are getting it this time.
I hear your point. And what say you, like Howard, to the abuse question? Because I think that ultimately, I'll give my thoughts. Howard,
I agree with Talib 100%. The process has to be in place where people have equal opportunity to the program. And what's been happening previously is Talib is right on point, is people have been giving it to their friends and a little bit of nepotism going on.
Yeah.
But I can tell, and that's part of it. But I can tell you this, though. Part of this opportunity program under the Harris administration is going to be, again, differentiating from the previous administration. What 45 did was bundle all these government contracts, if you will, so only large corporations or large businesses can get them.
Right.
Now she's going to unbundle these programs, so small minority-owned programs, companies like you or like ours, or individuals who want to start government contracting have an opportunity. So that's the opportunity I can see in it, but it still has to be presented and processed properly without 45 hand writing all the checks to his buddies and giving them out to him.
Exactly.
And you know what? Good point. You guys make some great points. I'm glad you said what you said, Talib, because one of the things I go to immediately is what we went through with the PPE.
Yes.
You know, we had, or even, going back to even Obamacare in the beginning, the nightmare of the website.
Yes.
Right.
We've got to do better on the rollout.
Right.
Please, God. I mean, and I hate to say this because I don't want to sound like a negative Nelly, but, in a lot of cases, if you want something fucked up, give it to the government. And some of us have worked in the government, but unfortunately, the logistics and the government don't always go hand in hand, So hopefully with the technology, we could do better. Right. And even from a texting standpoint, one of the things I do like, because you can tell as I listen to this, as I listen to her speech, I can feel the Obama people's influence already.
Exactly.
I can feel it. It feels like what Obama was saying when he launched in 08, back in 08, 07.
Yes.
Okay. And let's go in general. This is some of the other information she was given.
An economy where everyone can compete and have a real chance to succeed. Everyone, regardless of who they are or where they start, has an opportunity to build wealth for themselves and their children. And where we remove the barriers to opportunity, so anyone who wants to start a business or advance their career can access the tools and the resources that are necessary to do so.
I want to skip, but I do want to, she mentioned after this creating the opportunity was for the middle class. I think that's spot on, and not to, how do you say it, not to downgrade or denigrate the lower class, but the lower class program's already there. Okay, right. So you stay in the middle because the middle class is going to drive, the numbers. Okay, so I will say this, and I'll play the clip. Let me play the clip first. Let's go ahead and talk about the red tape. And I think this may address some of the things you said, Talib.
I will focus on cutting needless bureaucracy and unnecessary regulatory red tape and encouraging innovative technologies while protecting consumers and creating a stable business environment with consistent and transparent rules of the road. As president, I will bring together labor with small businesses and major companies to invest in America, to create good jobs, achieve broad-based growth, and ensure that America continues to define the future and lead the world.
Talib, I'm going to go to you. Answer a little bit of what you were saying.
Yeah, it does. But and Obama said that he was going to stop lobbyists. You know what I'm saying? So,
I know.
I mean, bureaucracy is part of what kills politics.
Yeah.
So really, for her to say something like, she's going to be cutting red tape. I'm smelling, the whole thing is smelling almost pretty good right now. You know what I mean? It's like you got onions and garlic simmering with a little salt and pepper. You know what I mean? Like, something good can really be happening over here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, what you got next? You know what I mean? Now, okay, that'll bring me to the kitchen. Or at least start to, look around and be like, okay, well, who's in the kitchen?
Right.
What you got in the pot?
So, But again, it's like, yeah, you could definitely tell the Obama team is in there because she's hitting the mark she needs to hit.
Yeah.
But I will tell you what I think through this speech, I realized why she never has resonated with me in the past.
And hold that thought.
Okay.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
Let's come back to that when we wrap.
Okay.
Make that the first thing you come back to. Okay.
Okay.
Howie, thoughts on that?
But hey, something real quick. You said you want to protect consumers, and that's possible. But it has to. Let me tell you a quick story. I had a guy who owned a bar, and he said to his manager, "Hey, I know you're gonna steal. Hey, but just leave me some too. Leave me a little bit on the bone. We know there's going to be some cheating going on in these programs, but man, it will benefit overall. It'll benefit more people than not. So I think the programs are necessary. Cutting some of the red tape. You're going to have some cheating going on, but I think overall it'll help more than not. So it's necessary. So."
We know you're gonna be skimming off the alcohol. Right. We know you're slipping people in the back. we
hooking up your homeboys with chicken wings.
Yes,
but man, leave me alone.
Don't put me out of business.
Right.
Let me make a profit.
Yes.
But see,
now she's making a profit. We got a problem.
Right.
That to that effect. You really need with these small businesses. They need to really understand and look. Here's the deal. You know what I mean? I'll show you the numbers.
Right.
This is the profit margin. This is what it takes for me to pay you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, are you really gonna sell all that cable?
Exactly. Right. That's exactly right.
You know what I mean? Like realistically, look at how much does it take for me to pay your salary and to double buy the cable. Exactly, you know what I mean, or whatever the business needs in order to function. So
or at some point, both of us gonna be working down for Joe down the street, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
hey, let's go ahead. Hank, hold that thought, Talib. I want to go to clip 7, and we got one more clip after this. Here we go.
I will address in greater detail my plans to build an opportunity economy, and today I will focus on one element that's on the minds of many Americans as they pay their bills at the kitchen table or walk the aisles of a grocery store. And that is lowering the cost of living. So every day across our nation, families talk about their plans for the future, their ambitions, their aspirations, for themselves, for their children. And they talk about how they're going to be able to actually achieve them financially. Because look, the bills add up. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication. After all that, for many families, there's not much left at the end of the month. I grew up in a middle-class household. For most of my childhood, we were renters. My mother saved for well over a decade to buy a home. I was a teenager when that day finally came, and I can remember so well how excited she was. I kind of understood what it meant, but we called her Mommy. Mommy was so excited, it just made us excited that she was so excited. Later in college, I worked at McDonald's to earn spending money. Well, some of the people I worked with were raising families on that paycheck. They worked second or even third jobs to pay rent and buy food. That only gets harder when the cost of living goes up. When I am elected president, I will make it a top priority to bring down costs and increase economic security for all Americans. As president, I will take on the high costs that matter most to most Americans, like the cost of food. We all know that prices went up during the pandemic when the supply chains shut down and failed. But our supply chains have now improved, and prices are still too high. A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%. Many of the big food companies are seeing their highest profits in 2 decades. And while many grocery chains pass along these savings, others still aren't. Look, I know most businesses are creating jobs, contributing to our economy, and playing by the rules. But some are not. And that's just not right. And we need to take action when that is the case.
Hey, I went a little long with that clip, but I thought that was important. And I'll start us off, and I'll just say I think that's critical because the American people have to understand that, hey, I hate the song. I mean, well, I hate to use the song, but it ain't my fault. In a certain way, she has to say, look, collusion. Not everybody understands the word, but she has to drop certain words to make, because she's a lawyer, and she dealt with this in San Francisco. She has to make people understand because, Howard, you sent me something about gas prices and in our text chain, food prices. Some of these companies do absolutely collude. And what I mean is they come together. As a business, you're not supposed to work with your competitor on price. That's collusion. Okay? So when these companies and these businesses start working together to keep these prices up and they're making record profits, that's a problem. Right. And I believe, and I'll go to you, Talib, I believe that's a way for her to step out of the narrative that's coming from a lot of these commercials you're seeing, that it's Biden's fault. Because I do believe that a lot of these companies, and this is maybe, how do you say it? The conspiracy theorist in me, but a lot of these CEOs don't want them back. They don't want Biden in office. They don't want Democrats in office because they know they're gonna lose the tax breaks. They're gonna lose things that are critical to their bottom line, which is what they care about, that profit. And these oil companies make a ton of money. Yes. I'm gonna go to you, and not only that, the grocers that are combining, in a lot of cases they're merging. They're making money. They're making more money. They're making more profit than they ever have in the history of their companies. So I'm going to say this, and I'll go to you, Talib. A lot of these companies, it's okay to increase your profit, okay? But if your profit is so incredibly large and your prices are still incredibly high, there's a problem. Yes. Talib, I'll go to you.
Okay, well, that's number one. Number one thing was, that's what I was going to say. So, thank you, Tom, for agreeing with me. Subconsciously, unconsciously, you know what I mean? I think that what I was going to say about Sister Kamala Harris is that she reminds me of the school teacher that no one wants to be scolded by.
The professorial, kind of professorial.
Yeah, that tone, that resonance, you know what I mean? That, I'm a Delta and I'm fly kind of thing, or AKA and I'm fly kind of thing. You know what I mean? That, I love it and I hate it at the same time because I want to see it, but I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, baby.
You kind of want to see the sadistic domination come out. But you don't want to leave scarred. But, one other thought that I had, when listening to that speech, amongst a couple of them, this team of Harris and Walz could really, if she uses Walz more than she was used as a vice president. Yep. This combination really could get some work done. You know what I mean? I agree.
Like, it's like I said, man, maybe there's some green peppers in this mix now. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not just the onions and garlic. Maybe there's a little green pepper. Right. You know what I mean? Like, okay, there's something really, really good could be happening here.
The gumbo is looking good. The gumbo's smelling good.
Yeah, but
but
again, it's like, are we going to? What are we, the people, going to hold these people accountable for this time that we haven't done different in the past?
Yeah,
that's
agreed.
The whole thing now. You know what I mean? If we really understanding that it's going to, which this election has, with Cori Bush and with Jamal Bowman, we really seen that
Corey's gone now. You're right. I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's all about how much money I can really throw at something. Then what are we going to do as these little communities and little pockets, to increase our donor base, our visible donor base, so that people can see that there is an agenda and we can throw some things out because, we're able to attend this $2,500 luncheon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, really, we've got to do something now to play ball like these people are playing ball.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do this. I'm going to come back to you, Howie. I want to play the final clip, and this is the homeowners portion of it.
As State Attorney General, I drafted and helped pass a homeowner Bill of Rights, one of the first in America. And during the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big banks for predatory lending with many of my colleagues, including Roy Cooper, and won $20 billion for California families when I was Attorney General. So I know how to fight for people who are being exploited in the housing market. And I know what home ownership means. It's more than a financial transaction. It's so much more than that. It's more than a house. Home ownership and what that means, it's a symbol of the pride that comes with hard work. It's financial security. It represents what you will be able to do for your children. Sadly, right now, it is out of reach for far too many American families. There's a serious housing shortage. In many places, it's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. As president, I will work in partnership with industry to build the housing we need, both to rent and to buy. We will take down barriers and cut red tape, including at the state and local levels. And by the end of my first term, we will end America's housing shortage by building 3 million new homes and rentals that are affordable for the middle class. We will do that together. And we will make sure those homes actually go to working and middle class Americans, not just investors. Because, some corporate landlords, some of them buy dozens, if not hundreds of houses and apartments. Then they turn them around and rent them out at extremely high prices. And it can make it impossible then for regular people to be able to buy or even rent a home. Some corporate landlords collude with each other to set artificially high rental prices, often using algorithms in price-fixing software to do it. It's anti-competitive, and it drives up costs. I will fight for a law that cracks down on these practices. We also know that as the price of housing has gone up, the size of down payments have gone up as well. Even if aspiring homeowners save for years, it often still is not enough. So in addition, while we work on the housing shortage, my administration will provide first-time home buyers with $25,000 to help with the down payment on a new home.
All right, let me start with Sunshine first. Okay, go to you, Howard.
So, this is rinse and repeat. We have to be very careful. Remember under the Bush administration, under the Bush administration, we had something very similar, and we got the housing market going too fast. But I would like to say, though, the housing is the catalyst to a thriving economy. You go buy a house, you got to buy furniture, then you got to get a lawnmower, you got to buy appliances. So it helps expand the economy. So it's a good thing. Having more houses is good. I have a person who works in this space. He talks about this being a cyclical business, and it's been about 20 years since Bush 2 was in office. We're talking about 16 years, maybe a few years before he got started. The housing market was starting to go, and when he was in there, it improved and went really well. And following him, it went down. But you have to balance it, because I think he got the market so hot that it caused the recession that followed him after his 8 years in the office. So the things are good. It's rinse and repeat, but she has to be careful not to get it burning so hard that it becomes a detriment for the next administration.
Yep. Go to you, Talib. Sunshine and rain. Well, kind of.
No, but this
Joy
shows
and pain.
This shows why she's been quiet for the last couple of weeks. You know
True.
what I mean? Like, everybody's talking about, oh, she needs to make the speech. She needs to talk to people. You know what I mean? No, she needed to get this together. Because the situations that she throws up are timely in a way that they weren't with Biden. This mortgage software or renter software thing is it's a fairly recent current event, that has impacted, quite a few people, especially with the company being based here in Atlanta. You know what I mean?
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because Atlanta is one of the biggest markets of investment.
Exactly right.
Exactly. And that's why, a 2-bedroom apartment in Atlanta, the average cost of a 2-bedroom apartment these days is almost like $2,000 a month.
Exactly.
In Atlanta.
Yeah, and your cuz is the one who's using the algorithms to drive up prices.
Right, exactly.
And we used to call it, and I don't know if it's correct, we used to call it yield management, where, and in a lot of cases, you got to monitor that, because a lot of it's false. In terms of what's driving it, because there's an expectation. It's just like I looked at my the home I grew up in, and at one point it was like 40 grand, because of the age of the house over in Grove Park,
up until 2000.
Right, up until Grove Park, Grove Park it was like 40. Okay, then they started talking about the Proctor Creek and Microsoft, and it went up to like 300, 400,000.
Exactly.
Slap a little paint on it.
Right.
Make it look pretty.
Oh, yeah. Rebuild, do something with the exterior, and curb appeal. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
So I do think she's making a very good point. I do think in terms of when you look at the millennial population, a lot of the millennials have been distraught and feeling hopeless about any kind of opportunity to buy a home versus us, versus our generation, and now maybe with this first time home buyer's opportunity at 25,000, you may get a fixer-upper, but at least you get something you can call your own. We've all been there. We've all had an opportunity where you got to start somewhere.
Right.
So I think 25,000 is a good start. Creating those zones. But go ahead, Talib.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say to that was, I'm like, look, if this is going to be a true first home buyers thing, then this is going to spark a whole lot of activity. You know what I mean? Usually it'll say something like, first-time home buyer or somebody who hasn't bought a home in X amount of years.
Yes, right.
You know what I mean? But if it's going to be like, no, we need to get some fresh blood up in here, get some of these people who are going to actually care, because that's what owning a home does, really. When you buy a home, the thing that changes the most is the pride you have in ownership.
Yeah,
And the fact that you don't want this house to look like anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you do provide upkeep and you do provide upgrades and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And for a lot of people, the car and the home are the two major purchases, but they're also the two places of the most personalization.
Yeah,
exactly.
True.
But it may be a domino effect too. So say you have a person who's been in their home and they need that $25 to buy a new one, their next home, and then that starter home is available for a new home buyer. So
it's $25K.
So then
$25K, right?
Yes.
Right. So then let's look at a tier. You know what I mean? Let's look at a tier. If you are a person who falls under, who would be a true first-time home buyers, then you have access to the $25K.
Right.
If you are someone who hasn't bought a home in 5 years or 10 years, and you're coming back fresh, then we've got a little program for you, and you can qualify for up to $10,000.
There you go. Yes.
Or some kind of loan forgiveness thing, or you know what I mean? Yeah. Let's really. That's what I'm saying. Let's start to get these creative juices flowing and really look at how a program like this can be successful.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think, man, the Black community has always been supported by equity in the home, and we lost so much equity over those periods where we had recessions, and hopefully with the prices being, as steep as they are, if you still own, you can have that equity and tap into it. My only concern, and I hope as a former attorney general, and I do like the is it the FTC? I like. They want her gone so bad.
So bad. I'm like, please do not.
She is a beast. Okay.
Yes.
So, hopefully they'll understand that when you do programs like this, the next thing to start to try to creep in are the predatory lending people. Because immediately, and I don't want to just just pick on reverse mortgages and some of these other programs. But I do believe that's been our problem. The problem in our community, where the predatory lending people have stepped in as soon as they know we've got equity, to go in and set up these programs where you miss a payment, you miss two payments, and you're gone.
Right.
So I'm definitely, this got my, and I played this clip. It's a bit long, I know. But I think it's an important part, and I think that does speak to the middle class. Yeah. All right, y'all, just in general, and I'll start with you, Howard, and I'll go to you, Talib. In general, just your overall thoughts, and
I think overall she did an excellent program. I would like to see her cadence become a little bit more quicker, but that's just me, something personal. But the information that was provided was absolutely on point. I think it's things that we talk about around the dinner table each night. How can I get better food prices? How can I get better housing? Part of that housing was transportation, building houses near transportation so people who do not have cars can get to and from work. I think all that is what we talk about each day I don't care if you're middle class, if you're poor, if you're rich, all of that is part of the conversation we have each day around the table. And those are the things I think people want to hear, opposed to the border is not secure and somebody's nasty. So I'm 100% on point with what she had to say.
I want to get to, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I want to include that in how I close this out too. Talib, thoughts just in general, overall?
Like I said, there's some good stuff happening. I would like to see how I would like to hear more about how these plans are going to be implemented. I've got to hear something about Israel, because another 20 billion. Come on, y'all. This is getting stupid now. It's beyond stupid. I'm not even. We don't even have to go into the politics of it, or anything else. Look, this is beyond. This is way too much. Stop that.
Okay. Good
Stop
deal.
it.
I got you. And let me speak to that. I'm going to speak to that real quick before you go. I want to speak to that.
Okay.
I think this is about action, Talib, not words.
Yeah.
because anybody can get up and say something about that situation. But you've been saying, I mean, that this thing is older than anybody in Congress at this point. It goes back further than anyone. So my point is, this is about action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
I think you have to say we're working on it.
Yeah.
We've got Anthony Blinken. We've got people involved. We got the CIA guy engaged. I think you have to just let people know we're taking action.
Right.
Because ultimately, it ain't going to be us that fixes this.
Right.
This is going to be about maybe our external money and arms, but ultimately, man, I think it's a situation where this negotiation is going to have to. I mean, this is where a lot of folks from around the country who both of these people respect are going to have to step in and say, hey, stop the shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the two people who are beefing. The people they respect the most are the ones who can stop them from beefing. And I'll leave it at that. One more thing to lead.
Yeah. I really would love to see. I would really love to see Vice President Harris come up with just a little bit better code switch. You know what I mean? Like, it's like she starts stiff and then she wants to get hip and then she's getting stiff again. It's like, there's ways to, and it's because she's not been, she's with the Obama folks. She'll learn.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. I think one of the big things, man, in this, and I'm starting to hear Hollywood, because Hollywood had kind of disengaged with Brother Joe. Okay. Yeah. And I think they're getting more involved. I think, in terms of, we're on the brink as we tape this of the DNC, the big convention in Chicago. Right. Happens on Monday, goes through next week as we tape. And I do believe, I tell you, I think she's gotten a lot better since 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, I see the improvement from when she ran on the debate stage. I see much more. Her whole complexion and her face she looks joyous. It hasn't weighed on her yet, So when I was watching her speak, and this is not, I hear what you're saying about the code switch, and I think she does that when she's in certain situations, unfortunately. Obama used to do that.
Yeah, but she's still kind of weird about it.
Yeah, Obama used to, you remember Obama used to go into Baptist preacher mode, and I hate him for that.
Yeah.
I'm like, he would go to Chicago. He would go to the gym in Chicago. He'd be at Wall Street or be with Silicon Valley, and it's like, I look out among my people here, and you guys are just amazing. Yeah. I just feel like I want to pull up my skateboard, and it's all good. But when he goes into, he goes into the gym, it's like, I didn't grow up with a dad, but look.
Right.
Bobo, and look, Pee Wee. Look, pull your damn pants up. I used to hate that. Yeah. It was like, and you talk about professorial, and I don't, again, I think Obama was one of the best, but it does kind of irk me, Talib, sometimes, because they do get a little professorial, but I think they have to, because what I learned from Obama is what helps me with Kamala, because they use that.
Yeah.
And it's like Trump is the fucking master of using stupid shit.
Right.
And Vance, he is the master of just pulling shit that doesn't matter. Yeah. Well, how does that matter?
Right.
But
where did it come from?
Yeah. So I think if like with Obama, there was a balance because of who he was versus the enemy. It was like, I can't do this in front of everybody. But I just hated it because I'm like, God damn it, here we go. It was like Baptist preacher, So here we come. But it was cool, and I learned from that. I did learn from that, because it's a different situation, man, when you're trying to run the country. Because damn, there's just so many levels of America that you got to deal with. It's crazy. That's not an excuse to lead.
No, it's not.
Absolutely, it's not an excuse, but you have to be really good. And you know what, Talib? What's his name? Walz is good.
Walz is fantastic.
And maybe it's because Walz has been a coach
Yeah.
And when you're a coach, you have to coach everybody.
Everybody.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And maybe because he's been a coach, he gets it.
You know, look, man, it's funny. I've been teaching night school for the last couple of months, and the way that you reach people is it's a whole different language. It's a whole different way that you got to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being able to be relatable.
Yeah.
And still get the point across.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, when a student recognizes it, it's special.
Yeah.
So I get, like I said, I get it. I'm always going to talk some smack, but this is becoming more what I would expect to see from America in a political game. You know what I mean? Or in a political race. This is what I'm talking about. Don't give me just any old thing and any old body and expect me to be okay with it. Give me some thought. If we're gonna have, especially in a selection like the one we had this time, this was not a conventional selection, but the selection was like, hey, okay, well, what you got? You know what I mean? And now we're seeing what they got, and white people are jumping on board. The different communities are coming on board. So, I think I'm telling you, if there was a way that once she was elected, that there was an end to this. Before she was elected, if she really came out and said that she would do everything within her power to get this bombing to just stop, I'm hitting the trail, brother.
I hear you. Well, let's see, because
I do think,
and I'm gonna say this to leave, and I want to go to Howie so we can wrap it. We're up against time. I think, based on what I'm hearing, you can't call it because you think it's over, man, and we're heading to the anniversary.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But I will say, I think the right people are engaged, and that's all at this point we can ask for. We got the right people in the room, so let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Howard, close us out.
Yeah, I think we're close, though, Brother Talib. I think what I'm hearing is that they're really close, and if you hear something soon after the DNC, I think we'll be there. Really,
okay.
Really. My big takeaway, I think that's what you want right now, Brother Tom.
Yeah, big takeaway. What you got?
My big takeaway is the stand your ground rule is being challenged all over the country. Remember the young lady in AJ is her name in Florida, and I'm a Florida guy, so I listen to everything Florida. The 60-year-old Susan Lorenz shot her through the door when she was knocking on her door because they had some problems as neighbors. She was found guilty for, I think it was manslaughter, but she faces up to 30 years in jail. I think people was emboldened based on the Trayvon Martin verdict years ago and just wanted to shoot people. I want to say shoot black people, but I won't say that, whenever they wanted to. But now the legislation or either the laws coming around and say, hey, you just can't shoot people willy-nilly. We're not in the Wild West. That's my big takeaway for the week. I'm glad she got convicted, and I hope they give her all the time she wants, plus a little bit more, Good.
Talib, give me a minute. What you got?
Hey, I got nothing.
Oh, wow.
I already said what I wanted to say for the week. So
Good stuff. Hey, you know what? And I'm just going to wrap the Kamala thing and my one big thing for the week because it'll be short. Differentiation is everything, y'all.
Yes.
I think right now it's all about differentiation. She has to be clear and concise. I'm hearing that, you know, and she's not going off like I'm trying to watch Trump in New Jersey. Okay, I'm trying to just sit there, and he starts talking about Cheerios, and he starts talking about the fact that the Cheerios. Oh, I like these because he was around these groceries, right? And all he could talk about was trying to get the groceries, take them back to Mar-a-Lago. Then he starts talking, who says I haven't seen Cheerios in years? It just shows you he's not relatable. How many times you been in he's never gone to a grocery store.
Right.
I mean, I'd like to ask him, hey man, when's the last time you held a gallon of milk in your hand?
Exactly.
I like his Tic Tac example.
It's dumb. Nobody's thinking about that. And I think Kamala is relatable.
Yes.
She went to an HBCU. She grew up in the middle class. She was bussed. She worked at McDonald's,
Right.
and she goes to the heart of the matter. Cost of living with the middle class, corporate housing, talks about, collusion can be a little over people's heads, but I think they're bringing the collusion down to these investment owners because a lot of people are dealing with that now.
Exactly.
They ask, hey, why is my shit so high?
Right,
because it's not owned by an individual. It's owned by a corporation.
Exactly.
These are hedge funds.
Yes.
It was another club.
So, yes.
But the thing of,
hey, you know what? And I got to go, Howard, because we're tight.
Yeah.
She put him on notice. And I don't think Trump can do that. I don't think he's capable to do, and I don't think he's capable of it because they're his friends.
They're his buddies. Yep.
They're his donors. They're his biggest donors.
Right.
So I think she puts him in a position where he can't come out and say, I'll do the same thing, because he can't.
Exactly.
Okay? Real quick, my big take is one thing. I'm doing my fantasy football, as a lot of folks are doing. I love football season. I love the fall. I'm glad it's back. But I got to say this, man. I sent Howie and Vi the list of teams that are like valued. The Cowboys are valued at $10 billion. The first NFL team to be valued that high. And so I got to say this, man, because a lot of folks are dealing with this Dak contract. I'm not going to dog Dak. Sometimes I get on Dak for not winning the championship. But I'm just going to say he needs to go to Pittsburgh. If I were him, I'd be talking to Mike Tomlin, because I don't think he's going to ever win a championship in Dallas. Because as long as Jerry is running things, I just don't think they're going to win again.
Yeah.
I don't, especially with Dak. So if I were Dak, I'd sit out the year. You got Pittsburgh right now dealing with two quarterbacks that are So here it comes. What comes down to me, I think ultimately look to Pittsburgh. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's my big thing. Okay. So, he ain't going to take them to. So all my friends in Dallas, I'm not anti-Dak. I'm just telling you, dude, go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a much better owner. Mike Tomlin, much better situation. Love getting your feedback, y'all, positive or negative. Go to our episodes. Go to the website. Love your thoughts at castropolis.net. Choose the people poll. Leave us feedback. I would like to shout out some of our biggest supporters. Got to shout out Regia Shabazz, man, for definitely being there and making some big recommendations. The Sonia Massey, big recommendation on us covering that. Thank you so much. But no tea this week, so we're going to end it. As I mentioned, our good friends Eureka and Rudy are having their big soft opening as we tape. I think, Howard, you might try to make it.
Yeah,
but I want to mention them and include them in this podcast. So before y'all leave the podcast, right after we finish, we're going to go into a message from Rudy, just to kind of encourage people to go out. So, but I will say, support us, subscribe, go to castropolis.net. We need you there. And with that, y'all, episode 234 is in the can. Did I get to you? I'm just so used to Talib's list ending about right now, y'all. I love you, man. Thank you so much. But with that, y'all, episode 234 is in the can. Thank you so much, Howie.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks
so
for the invitation.
For jumping on the ride. Talib, as always, thank you, man, for another great week. Peace, power to the people. And go ahead and give us some details, Rudy. Here we go.
Hi, Thomas. This is Eureka.
And Rudy.
Thanks so much for your support. We're doing a soft opening of Phase 1 of Eureka's Corner in Fort Valley, Georgia today, August 17th. Eureka Corner is the first open-air container park in the Middle Georgia area.
We'll be offering healthy food options such as blackened salmon sliders, bison sliders, plant-based sliders. We also have desserts such as Italian ice and sweet treats such as key lime pie.
Eureka Corner will offer food, live entertainment, and fun for the entire family.
Please come out and support us, and we welcome your support.
Grand opening within 30 days.
You've been listening to This is the G Podcast. This is the G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.